What are your dreams really telling you? Freud's shocking theory. Have you ever woken from a dream feeling disturbed, excited, or just confused? You sit up in bed, try to replay the images. A hallway that leads nowhere. A person with your mother's voice, but your boss's face. A fall that never ends. The logic defies reason, and yet, somehow, it feels meaningful. Like a puzzle, meant just for you. This is where Sigmund Freud begins. Not with science, but with a question as old as human consciousness. What is the meaning of our dreams? Freud didn't invent dream interpretation. Cultures across history, from the Babylonians to the Hebrews to ancient Greeks, have believed that dreams are messages, omens, or divine visions. But Freud gave dream analysis a radically new twist. Dreams, he wrote, are the disguised fulfillments of repressed wishes. Let that sink in. To Freud, a dream is not a message from the gods, but a message from yourself, encrypted by your unconscious. Today we'll take a deep dive into Freud's revolutionary theory of dreams, how he thought they work, what they're hiding, and why they matter. But we'll also go beyond Freud, exploring critiques, contrasts, and the rich afterlife of his ideas in art, psychology, and pop culture. Dreams, as you'll see, are not noise. They are a cryptic language, the unconscious trying to speak. Let's learn to listen. Freud was, above all else, a listener, and dreams, he believed, were people talking in their sleep, honestly, if indirectly. He called dreams the royal road to the unconscious. Why? Because in sleep the conscious mind, the gatekeeper, relaxes. The censorship weakens. Repressed thoughts, memories, and desires sneak out, but not unfiltered. Here's the paradox. Dreams are expressions of unconscious wishes, but they're disguised. The dream you remember in the morning, what Freud called the manifest content, is only the tip of the iceberg. The real meaning, the latent content, lies beneath, encoded in symbols, distortions, and absurdities. Why the disguise? Because, Freud argued, the unconscious is filled with dangerous material, forbidden desires, traumatic memories, socially unacceptable impulses. The dream disguises these so you can experience them safely. For example, you dream you're climbing a ladder. It feels intense. Freud would ask, what does climbing symbolize for you? Power? Ambition? Sexuality? There is no universal answer. For Freud, dream analysis was not decoding a fixed code. It was contextual, interpretive, personal. The dream doesn't lie. It speaks metaphorically. And the dreamer must learn to translate. Let's break down Freud's dream theory. As presented in The Interpretation of Dreams, 1900, arguably the most important psychological book of the 20th century. Freud described dreams as having two levels: manifest content, the storyline of the dream, as remembered; latent content, the underlying unconscious wishes or thoughts. To move from the latent to the manifest, the mind performs a kind of mental alchemy, what Freud called dream work. This process includes 1. Condensation. Multiple ideas or people are merged into a single image. Your father, your boss, and your best friend might all appear as one character. 2. Displacement. The emotional intensity is shifted. Something trivial in the dream might hide something deeply important. You're angry at a stranger in the dream, but it's really about your sister. 3. Symbolism. Objects and actions are symbolic of unconscious ideas. A house might represent the body. Water might suggest birth, fear, or sexual arousal. 4th secondary revision. This is your mind trying to make the dream make sense. It fills gaps, smooths illogic, adds narrative after the fact. In short, dreams are masks, but made by you to fool yourself. The dream is a compromise between what you want to express and what you must repress. It's both confessional and theatrical. Let's consider one of Freud's own dreams, the famous dream of Irma's injection, which he analyzed in painstaking detail. In the dream, Freud is with his patient Irma. She's unwell. He examines her, calls in other doctors, and eventually they determine she was given an incorrect injection by another physician. Not Freud himself. Seems straightforward. But Freud interpreted it as a wish fulfillment. His desire to absolve himself of guilt in her failed treatment. Each detail was symbolic. The injection, a metaphor for intervention, or even sexual guilt. The other doctors, representations of Freud's own ambivalence about authority. Freud used this dream to demonstrate how even disturbing dreams serve a purpose, to protect the ego from psychic pain. He concluded, even a nightmare may be a wish in disguise. Is that convincing? Not always. But the dream's interpretive potential, its literary, psychological richness is undeniable. Freud believed dreams reveal repressed desire, usually sexual or aggressive. This is where things get tricky. In Victorian society, Freud's insistence that sexual desire appears in dreams was explosive. Today, it can feel dated, even laughable. But beneath the specifics, his general point holds. Dreams are where the taboo meets the symbolic. We dream what we cannot say. We desire what we cannot admit. Freud once said, "No mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips. Betrayal oozes from him at every pore." Dreams are betrayals, involuntary confessions. For example, someone dreams of failing an exam. Freud asks, is this a fear of failure or a wish to avoid success? Is the anxiety a cover for relief? This interpretive flexibility frustrates critics, but fascinates artists. Freud gave creative minds a vocabulary for ambiguity, contradiction, and self-deception. Literature, film, and art seized on dream logic. Think of Kafka's Trial, Dali's Clocks, or David Lynch's Nightmares, all descendants of Freud. What does modern science say? Neuroscience tends to see dreams as byproducts of brain activity during REM sleep, random firings the brain tries to organize into narrative. The dream has no meaning, only structure. This view challenges Freud directly. And yet, even neuroscientists admit, dreams are deeply emotional. They often involve fear, desire, social anxiety. They tap into themes of self and identity. Why? Some thinkers, like philosopher Thomas Metzinger, propose that dreams are virtual reality simulations used for training emotional responses. Others, like Mark Solms, a neuroscientist and Freudian, argue that Freud was right about one thing. Dreams express motivational states, not randomness. Meanwhile, Carl Jung offered a different take. Dreams don't repress, they reveal. He saw them as communications from the collective unconscious, rich in archetypes. So who's right? Maybe all of them. Dreams are not reducible to a single theory. They are at once biological, emotional, and symbolic. Freud wasn't wrong. He was just seeing part of a much larger puzzle. Freud's dream theory has long since spilled out of the clinic. In literature, dreams are used to convey repressed truth. Shakespeare, Dostoevsky, Woolf, Kafka. In cinema, dreams represent the uncanny and unresolved. Bergman, Hitchcock, Lynch, Nolan. In therapy, dream analysis remains a tool, especially in psychoanalysis and psychodynamic approaches. But even in CBT, patients are asked, what thoughts appeared last night? More than technique, Freud gave us permission to treat our inner life as worthy of interpretation. He made dreams serious, but he also made them theatrical. The dream, in Freud's view, is a little stage. You are the writer, the actor, and the audience, watching yourself in disguise. That metaphor remains powerful. Every artist, every novelist, every songwriter who explores memory, confusion, or conflict is, in some small way, continuing Freud's dream. So, what are your dreams really telling you? According to Freud, they're telling you the truth, but in code. Not divine messages, not random noise, but you, speaking to yourself in metaphor, displacement, and disguise. Dreams reveal what you push away. They reveal your guilt, your longing, your conflicts. They are not problems to solve, but stories to hear. Even if Freud wasn't always right, he taught us how to ask better questions. What do I truly want? What am I afraid to know? And what part of me is trying to speak while I sleep? To explore your dreams is to become your own interpreter, your own philosopher of the night. And that, Freud believed, is the beginning of understanding the self. Curious minds never stop. Subscribe to keep exploring.